And we are back. Hello, everybody, and welcome into Dynasty 365, the Dynasty Fantasy Football podcast here at Fantasy and Frames. I'm your host for tonight, Aiden Weingartner, and of course, I have with me, as always, Jorge Edwards and Justin Taylor. Tonight, we are kicking things off for you all by discussing maintaining success in Dynasty Fantasy Football. So maybe you finish at the mountaintop or near the mountaintop, and how can you sustain that success going forward? First off, before we dive into things, JT, I want to start with you. How have you been as we kick off the off season, which is really the heart of this show, if you will?
Yeah, I love that. It's one of those things where I get to the end of the fantasy football season and I'm almost a little worn out, right? I'm like, I've been grinding all year, trying to make the playoffs, trying to win a championship. I want to enjoy the playoffs, and I can't because I'm like, I just want to win. I want to grind it out. I want to try to get there. And it's like, it's almost a relief when it's over. And then we get to watch the playoffs, see our picks do, watch the Super Bowl. Super Bowl's over. It doesn't even seem like, it seems like forever ago, and it was 2 days ago or whatever.
3 days ago, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like the second, this is why the NFL is the NFL, right? The second the Super Bowl ends, you think like, we're off until next season starts. No, we are right into it. We've got everyone talking about the combine. We've already had the Shrine Bowl. We've already had Senior Bowl. Like, we are getting into rookie fever. Dynasty. This is why you play Dynasty. This is the best part of Dynasty, right? Is you get in, now you're looking at the rookies. You're getting all fired up for the draft. I love the draft, by the way. My favorite freaking time of the year. It's on my birthday. Every year it's the same week as my birthday. I absolutely love the freaking draft. I'm set to go to Pittsburgh this year with my cousin and a couple of my good friends. We went to go 40th birthday party for me in Vegas, and COVID hit. We didn't get to go. I'm trying to get the band back together, going to Pittsburgh, me and my cousin, big Steelers fans, going to Pittsburgh for the draft. I'm fired up. I can't wait to go to Indy in a couple weeks. It'll probably be my 5th or 6th year in a row going to do the combine in Indianapolis. Can't wait for that. Love to see those guys live, see how everybody does. This is when you get fired up as a dynasty manager, right? This is the time of year. You're just pumped. You're getting to see. If you don't watch college football, you're even more fired up because you're like, ooh, I haven't seen these guys. Who are the new guys on the scene? I watched a ton of college football. I played a ton of CFF, a ton of C2C, and a ton of Debbie. So I'm already on most of these guys. But now
Tuesday night max.
Yeah, it's exactly. Now you're getting to see these guys just a little bit more. Like, okay, let's see him next to another guy in these drills, one-on-one against this guy, especially, like you said, the action guys. Let's see some of these guys that are the smaller schools. Can they hang with the big-time players in these bowl games, at the combine? I love this time of year. I'm stoked. I was I was a little burnt out, Jorge. I was a little burnt right at the end of the fantasy season. I'm not gonna lie, I was like starting to fade a little hard the last like 2-3 weeks of fantasy. I'm back in. Yeah. Full. I feel refreshed. I'm ready to go.
I feel like everybody just gets your level of excitement right now because, when JT gets on a roll, he loves what he's talking about, and I'm with you, JT. I feel it. I feel the love. Just a little heads up: there is a little issue with Twitter. Apparently, they're not showing streams right now, but they should be doing it fairly soon. So pay attention to that. Head over to our YouTube or Facebook page. Don't forget to like and subscribe while you're there. Give us a follow. Just wanted to throw that out there. Hopefully Twitter fixes this issue sooner rather than later. So sorry, that's my little interjection there, Aiden.
That's okay. Jorge.
Yeah, sorry about that. Going too long there, Jorge. You know me. You got me fired up. We're Dynasty 365. That's the whole point of the show, right? We're Dynasty off-season. Yeah. This is the best part. So I got me fired up for the first off-season show, ready to go. So I'm locked in. Let's go.
Love it.
Jorge, I want to ask you before we move on here to our details for tonight. How are you feeling with all this time of year right now?
It is. It is. There was a movie that came out in the early 2000s. Like
Here we go.
5. Yeah, another reference that you won't get because you're like younger than
2 years old.
2 years old, basically. And it was called Fever Pitch, and it was with Jimmy Fallon and Drew Barrymore. It was like talking about like Jimmy Fallon was like this Boston Red Sox diehard, and it was set in like 2003. And he got his season tickets for the season, and he's like, it's a new year, it's a fresh start. And that's exactly what I think right now as we're getting ready. We got articles that have been dropping at fantasyandframes.com looking at early looks at all the positions on offense, and then JT and I on Shoot the Gap will talk about the defensive side for Dynasty. And so it's just a great time of year. It's a great time of year to start assessing value. And then, of course, here on Dynasty 365 on Wednesday, and I preface that because we got some big news at the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. We're covering everything from strategies to just everything, strategies to startups to rookie talk. I mean, draft coverage, just a lot of cool stuff. So I'm super excited there, Aiden.
Speaking
Jorge, I have to jump in real quick. I've got a fever pitch story. Shocker, right?
Nice.
I was at the World Series game, Red Sox Cardinals, when they were filming Fever Pitch, when the Red Sox broke the curse, won the game in St. Louis.
They were on the mound.
Came on the field. They shot the movie at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So my dad is like looking. He's like, we're trying to go to the game. And he's like, I can get game 5 a lot cheaper than game 4. And I was like, Dad, by game 4, we might get swept.
Don't get it.
And he's like, what? I was like, we might get swept. Game 4, buy the tickets. Buy the tickets, because I was like, I'm going to be pissed as a Cardinals fan, but I'm like, I'm going to be pumped that I got to see the Red Sox live break the curse. Got to see them break the curse. They were filming the movie at the game when I was there. It was pretty wild. So that's my fever pitch story. Really upset to see the Cardinals lose, but I've gotten to see them win a couple World Series in my lifetime, so I won't feel too horrible about it. But my buddy Brandon, who's a diehard Red Sox fan, was super jealous I was at the game, and he was not.
Nice.
My dad is a fan too.
He's a Red Sox fan also. A New Yorker, a Red Sox fan?
Yeah, I know. But we hate the Patriots, so it's a little strange.
Dude,
but
I have my buddies from there. It's like half his family. It's so weird. Half of them are Patriots fans, half of them are Giants fans, half of them are Yankees fans, half of them are Red Sox fans.
All
They're
over.
all from Massachusetts, and they're just like, they both are like picking sides. It's so wild. It's pretty funny running into people up there, because from where I'm at in Illinois, I'm in Central Illinois, so we're like half and half. Like half people are Cubs fans, half people are Cards fans. We're about 2 hours from each city, and then there's a sprinkling of White Sox fans in there. So I know how it works. I grew up with friends that are fans on both sides, so it does happen for sure. But I can't believe we brought up Fever Pitch. I had to throw that in there.
Oh, yes.
Speaking of content, make sure before you get out of here tonight to head over to our outstanding website, fantasyandframes.com, to check out all of our article content, including, most importantly this time of year, our various positional breakdowns for this upcoming rookie class. From a Dynasty, IDP, redraft perspective, whatever you need, we got it. And also, exciting news, we have our first batch of rookie rankings up on the site from myself, JT, we got Jorge here, Drew Scott, and Joe Harlow, and then we combine all of ours for a consensus. So, guys, should we just hop into the show tonight?
Let's do it.
So, tonight's
Let's go.
topic, just a second reminder if you need it, maintaining success in Dynasty Fantasy Football. If you finish as a baseline, let's say top 3 or 4 team in your league, this is for you. First up, I want to touch on what to do with veterans. How do you treat veterans this time of year for maintaining success with going forward? JT, I'm going to start with you for this simple question right off the bat. What piece of advice, whether the short thing, long thing, what piece of advice do you have for people and fans when it comes to veterans on your fantasy team this time of year, coming off of championships or finishing near the top? When is the best time to move off of him? Do you keep him? How do you approach veterans this time of year?
So I think there's a couple different ways you have to go at veterans, and you got to decide how many years you have left of a guy. How many years do you think he can still give you production is how I should say that. And then the other thing would be, what is the value return on that production? So there's guys where at some point you're like, oh, this guy's old, I should sell him off. But what's the return? At some point, Derrick Henry, great example. Derrick Henry, probably in the semifinals, if you had him, you got to the championship game and hopefully you won. Happened to me in a couple leagues. He went off in the semis, had a monster game, got the championship, killed it with Derrick Henry. Depending on championship game or semis, depending on how your league runs your weeks for the playoffs. Huge get. Now, I was in some sell leagues on Dynasty where my team was bad. I had Derrick Henry, and I was like, man, I got to start getting some draft picks. This team is bottom of the barrel. I sold him probably just a hair too early, but you got to look at the thing. Now, if you're like, okay, I won a championship, I'm selling Derrick Henry. Okay, what are you getting from him, right? Like, can you get somebody to give you like a late first, an early second? I ended up having to pay 2 seconds in a league last year for him, but I was a championship contender in a league that I had never won that I run, so that was double it because I'd never won the league, and I was like, I got to win. I got to win this year. My team's in the sweet spot. I paid 2 seconds for him. I thought it was worth it. He ended up winning me a championship. 100% worth it for the 2 seconds. Now, could I turn around and trade him for 2 seconds coming up this season?
Probably
I
not.
don't know.
No, I don't
Probably not. Probably not. Someone's probably not going to give it to me. Maybe somebody gives me a late second for him. Because, like, again, he was really good last year at times. But we started to see, like, weeks where you didn't get much out of him. And then he had a couple blow-up games that saved you. So that's where you're kind of at. And I there's a couple leagues now. So now that I have him, I paid the 2 seconds. I'm probably writing him till it's the end times at this point. You know what I'm saying? I probably am not going to be able to get anything that's worth more than what he can give me possibly. I'm probably just going to write him out. I think Travis Kelce's another guy like that. There's a chance. I don't think you can get much for him. I traded him a couple seasons ago on another rebuilder, and I was like, how much can I get for him? At this point, I don't think you can get enough. You might as well just hold him until he retires, right? So that's where you got to find that sweet spot between, okay, is this guy, can I get something decent for him, or do I just write it till it's dead? Tom Brady was that way. You got Tom Brady at the end. If you were a contender in a super flex or a 2 QB league, at that point, you just rode Tom Brady till he just said, call it quits. You just weren't going to get somebody to give you a first for him or an early second. So that's where you got to kind of figure out where those guys are at. I know a lot of people were out on CMC a couple years ago with the injuries. I jumped in on him. I got him for a way cheaper price than you could probably sell him for him right now. But he's another guy. He's like, okay, another year older. He had a great year, but he's going to get hurt again. Here's where I'm trying to buy a guy like CMC. If I'm a contender, I maybe buy him from somebody if somebody's not a contender and they're like, ooh, he had a great year, but he keeps getting hurt after he has a great year. This is where I turn around and look to acquire those veterans. But I think you really have to hammer home on your team first off. How good is your team if you want it? Are you good enough to win it again? And if you are, who should you be selling and who should be buying is definitely called. Because sometimes, let's face it, I know Jorge's been there, I've been there, and I'm sure you've been there. You won it, right? Yeah. And you're like, that was the last gasp. I'm lucky I won the league. This team is like 5 seconds from falling apart, right? So
yeah.
you got to learn, like, hey, do I start selling those guys off, even if it's not for pure great value? Do I just pull the trigger a little early and rebuild, or do I hold for another year? So I think that's definitely one at this time of the year is one of the main things you have to look into as an owner, especially if you won a championship or you competed for the title. Do I have enough next year, or did I just get everything I could out of my guys, and now it's time to either hang it up, get everybody I can, any draft picks I can, and totally rebuild, or can I go get one or two more pieces? And if everything goes right, I have a shot to compete again. So I think this is the big time of year for that, right, Jorge?
Yeah, no, very good points there. I will say, you know, you brought up a couple different examples, contenders and whatnot. But for this episode, let's take it from the fact that we are contenders. We're talking about maintaining success. So, obviously we finished either as champions or first, second, or third, versus being in the middle of the pack or bottom of the league. So, my advice here is that if you're already in a contending situation, in terms of you having a good blend of veterans and youth, this is a very interesting time of year for dynasty managers because, veteran value right now, as we, February 11th, 2026, this is the closest it's going to be tied to 2025, right? Because as you all know, the second free agency starts, the second they get close to the draft, value is going to fluctuate depending on who's landing where and what. And so, if I'm a dynasty manager and I want to go get, a veteran to shore up my team heading into the season, or I want to get the next, hot young superstar on my team based off of what happened last season in 2025, this is where you could potentially find some value. On the flip side, people might be like, oh, that's, I want to, put up a king's ransom of demands to get this player. So you really got to assess, do you want to give up the farm if you are a contending team at this point in 2026? My recommendation would be not to do that. Obviously, there's so much that can happen between now and free agency and the NFL.
You never know, yeah.
So, if you're already a contender, I would focus on, building not so much the structure because that's obviously already in place, but building up your depth at these positions as we are currently at this point in the year.
Yeah, I do want to add in that this is most likely, like year in and year out, I've noticed that since we're just coming off of 2025, the draft hasn't hit yet. Maybe people haven't dove in full bore, if you will, into their rookie research. This is probably the cheapest you're going to get certain veterans because everyone has rookie fever. Everyone's excited for the incoming class. Everyone's excited for the draft. So if you have to shore up your roster at a spot or two, I think it would be fair to say that it's going to be way cheaper now than, say, August heading into the season when people want to watch actual football.
Right. No, that's a very good point, Aiden.
Yeah, I agree. If you are a contender, you gotta take advantage of that rookie fever right now, right? You gotta go in, maybe offer up some picks, especially if you're a winner, right? You're like we're talking about this. You either won or you lost in the championship game, or maybe you finished third, but you were like the best team in the league and you got upset in the semis. Like, get those teams that are like dying to get extra first round picks. See if you can get a guy to give up a little bit of an older veteran. I would say, especially this year. We'll talk about it in some other episodes, but man, my breakdown so far, I do not love this draft. Not that I don't think there's some players that can make it out of this draft, but this is a very, very up in the air draft as far as talent, and it so much depends on landing spot. We could end up getting some of the best players in this draft in terrible landing spots. It could totally screw you for fantasy. So if I can move some picks right now, if I can sell off some seconds and some thirds or even my late first for kind of a middle or a late aging veteran that I know I can still get quality work out of, and my team can compete again, go for a back-to-back title, I'm in on that. I'm making that move. I know it's not the long-term strategy, but to me, championships are what you're playing for. To be the best record for 10 years in a row and with no championships, what is that? Yeah, bring home a title, right? Do the Rams thing. Go get a Stafford. Go make the move. Get the starter. If you could trade, say somebody wants to give up Stafford because they think he's almost done, right? And you're in a Superflex league. He had a great year last year. If you can give up your late second and get Stafford
in a weak class, yeah.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it in a weak class. I'm doing that. Let the guy go, okay, I'll trade you and I'll take, they're hoping maybe Ty Simpson goes to the Rams and he's the future. Well, if I'm competing, I want Stafford this year and maybe next year, as opposed to, okay, I could take Ty Simpson, who might be the starter and might be good in 2 or 3 years. So if I'm a contender, man, I'm willing to take a swing on those guys that maybe only have a year or two left, and you can get for reasonable prices because you're not expecting another 5 or 6 years out of them. But hey, we said that about Travis Kelce 3-4 years ago. We're like, when's the last year? I mean, I remember selling Travis Kelce for a first and second like 4 or 5 years ago in a league, and I'm like, oh, probably should have kept him for a lot longer. He ended up having way more good years when people are like, oh, he's 31, he's going to retire soon, and then he gives you another 4 or 5 years.
That's all great points. I'd love to talk about the veterans, but moving off of the talking point of veterans, we're going to move into how to approach rookies and, more importantly, rookie draft picks, specifically. Jorge, if you wouldn't mind, just please touch on how you personally approach researching and assessing an incoming rookie prospect class, and once those guys are drafted, how you would go about responsibly incorporating them and fitting them into an already stacked dynasty roster.
So again, approaching this from a contender perspective, right? I finished first, second, third in your league. My objective for Dynasty is similar to what I was saying as far as for veterans and acquiring veterans this time of year. Is look, I already have a good situation where I'm built for the long term. In Dynasty, we like to think about things from a 3 to 5 year window. So I have a good balance of depth at both veterans and at younger players, maybe rookies or second years. And so honestly, when it comes to rookie picks, I like to assess the class. Obviously we do our rankings here, we do our research here at Fantasy and Frames on by these players and by these prospects as they are now. Where do they measure up in terms of the advanced metrics and how they look on film? How the metrics translate to film and the film translates to the metrics. So I really, it's a case-by-case situation. Obviously, everyone's dynasty team is different. But as far as the rookie picks, I look at the class. So, let's talk about, we won't talk about it for too long, but, for example, the wide receiver class, pretty good this year in 2020, right? And so if I wanted to take advantage of that, I would try to acquire, as many of these, second round, third round picks. And I don't even need to go for the first rounders here in trade packages because I know the wide receiver depth here in 2026 is pretty good. 2026, not six. Hello.
Whoa.
Slip there. Is pretty deep there. Funny, pretty deep. Anyhow, sorry, I'm getting off track.
You're getting out of hand.
I'm already out of hand. We're already off the rails, and it's only 8:26 in the evening Eastern time.
Shoot, the gap's going to be wild, Jorge. It's going to be wild.
It is going to be
just
wild.
Wait.
Yeah, exactly. Wait till the next hour. It is a spot for me to take advantage of which position is going to be the most valuable. So I don't look at it from I don't look at acquiring veterans or acquiring, rookie picks here as far as I'm not a person who likes to fill the gaps on my roster. I feel like that comes naturally. I like to acquire the best players at each position because then that helps to potentially create a supply and demand situation where another team out there in my league could be deficient, let's say, at wide receiver. Well, I've been stockpiling alpha wide receivers left and right, and solid wide receivers too. And I noticed that they have good running backs, and my running backs are kind of suspect. Well, then there you go. I just created a good trade scenario with them. So I like to really stockpile the talent at whatever position has the best prospects.
Yeah, Jorge, that's all great points. JT, I want to ask you one question in particular, if that's okay, because while Jorge was talking, I kind of thought about this. Do you like the strategy of moving off of current year rookie picks for next year rookie picks? Is that something you employ too often, or do you like to stay in the current year instead of having to wait for the next year?
It really depends on my team. If I'm a high-end team, and it really depends on the draft too. So I'll give you a good example. So last year's draft, I was super high on last year's draft. I just liked a ton of players. I thought there was a ton of value in the second, third, fourth round, into the first round. I was trading all kinds of picks. I have to be honest with you. I'm a draft pick guy. I want to have as many draft picks as I possibly can. That's just who I am. I want as many draft picks.
Yeah.
Last year was one of the few years I moved multiple 26 picks to get picks in 2025 because I really liked that draft class. And there was a ton of guys available when I was somebody was offering up that I made moves on. So I have probably less rookie picks in 26 than I probably have ever had in Dynasty, to be honest with you. And I will be looking to move 26 picks this year. Especially if I'm someone who won. That end of the first round, the end of the second round, end of the third round, I usually feel like I get really good value there, and I like guys there. It's a real question mark right now. That might change after we get through the combine and we kind of see where some of these guys go and the draft. It might even out and we're like, oh, I really like some of these landing spots, and you feel better about it. I don't feel great about it now. And if I can sell early while it's still I don't 100% know where these guys are going, and someone else is just fired up to get extra picks, especially if they're, a bottom 4 team and they're like, oh, I'd love to get in and get another first rounder, and I can move and get something next year, I would definitely consider it this year. That's not always my strategy. That's not my strategy every year. But for this year, that is absolutely the strategy I'm going to be implementing, especially as a team that either won or finished in the top 3. I'm probably looking to move my first round pick or even my second round pick. I would be looking to move those for either a veteran or a pick next year. If I could get an early second next year for my late first this year and then throw a third on top of it, or like an aging veteran, say I have somebody that I can get my handcuff for a running back and I could get a second and give him my late first this year, I would definitely consider it. And that's not something I normally would do in Dynasty. But just looking at how things are breaking down this year, that's kind of my thoughts going in as someone who is a contender who either won or was right in the mix.
Yeah, Jorge, quickly, what are your thoughts on moving around draft picks in the different years?
Yeah, so I don't know if this is shocking to a lot of people out there, to dynasty managers, or maybe it is because you're out of the loop here so far this year. But when looking at the different positions on offense, the quarterbacks, the running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, it is, for the most part, outside of wide receiver, pretty rough. When you're looking at the prospects coming out, when you're looking at the metrics and the performances, you really got to decide: do you want to move up? Maybe you're picking at the end of the first round. Maybe you have an early second. In terms of moving around picks for different years, this is the year for me. If I'm in that position, drafting towards the latter end of the rounds here, I'm either moving up to get these alphas that are few and far between in 2026, or I am trading my first round pick. And if I'm lucky to have multiple first round picks, right, in 2026, I'll move them back to 27 because 27's draft class on offense is supposed to be really stacked. So I would rather, I know this is going to sound crazy, but like players that are going to be going in the first round of rookie drafts this year on offense, I'd rather get a second round or multiple second round picks in 27 than hold on to a later spot in the first round. That's how good the 27 draft class is going to be. Now, that being the case, if I in 26 have like the first, second, or third, I guess top five rookie pick, I'm staying. I'm not moving back to 27. There is enough value there, and like I was saying earlier in the show, wide receiver. If you're hurting at wide receiver, despite this being a rough rookie draft class for fantasy purposes,
you can get them.
You're going to get a lot of great talent. Running back like Jeremiah Love, all day, right? And again, we'll get to that discussion later on throughout the season. But if I'm picking at the top, I'm staying. If I'm picking in the later part of the first round, I'm trading back to 27.
Jorge, I'm gonna just jump on what you said there. I 100% agree with you on what you said there. But just to look at comparison, now Luther Burden was going late first to early second round last year. Luther Burden would be a clear-cut top 5 pick in this draft.
Oh my God, yeah.
I mean, like not even close. And he was going anywhere from 111 to 24 in drafts last year. I was trading up everywhere. I was trading all my picks. This is why I don't have any picks. I'll tell you this right now. I was trading all my first rounders I had to move up either in the end of the first round or the beginning of the second round to get Luther Burden last year. I did it in every league I could make the trade. I did it. So I love the wide receiver at the top of this class. Like Jorge said, I think it's loaded. I think if you need wide receiver, this is a great class to just throw darts at. I think there's a lot of guys that can end up being really good in this class. This running back class, as a guy who writes a lot of running back articles every year for DLF for the draft, this reminds me a ton of the 24 class, with Love being much better than anyone that was in the 24 class. It's really, really rough at running back. If you need running back, like,
too bad,
man, you almost better you'd be better off trading your pick for a veteran. Like, I honestly, like, go out there if you have like the 1.7 or 1.8. If you could go get a veteran and give up like your first and your second and get a Kenny Walker, maybe somebody's worried about where he's going to go with the free agents. Doesn't go back. He finished the end of the year, which kind of hurts you on trading value because he looked good in the Super Bowl, won MVP. But if you have somebody that's worried about him, that's a guy I would be going after big time. I would offer up my first, second, and possibly third in this draft to go get him if I'm like really running back needy, because this class running back wise is going to need some phenomenal landing spots, I think, for most of these guys outside of Love to have any kind of fantasy impact this year for sure, and maybe even next year.
Yeah. So guys, up to this point, we've talked about how to approach veterans, how to approach rookies, and that whole philosophy. And finally, we're going to finish off with how do you combine both veteran and rookie presences on your roster. So JT, I want to ask you first. In your personal opinion, what are certain positions versus others that dynasty managers should be prioritizing, whether that be through the veteran trade market, whether that be through rookie draft picks, either one is fine, that managers should be maintaining to sustain a, let's say, top 3 finish, coming off a top 3 finish roster in their league?
So for me, if I finish the top 3, I want to look at my running back group first, because that's the first thing people want to come off of, right? People are like, oh, my team's not good. Yes. My team's not good. I got an aging running back. Like, I would probably trade him for some draft picks, right? So I think that might be your easiest thing to acquire. And if you're a contender, those running backs are going to be usually the high impact guys that make a difference. Or if you're in a super flex or 2 QB league, get that aging QB, kind of like I talked about with Stafford earlier. Like if you were like, ooh, I won the league, but I didn't have a third quarterback. I lucked out that my guys came through down the stretch. Or you're like, I got a Jalen Hurts or a Tua is my second or third guy. Like I really need to shore up my QB. I think that's where you go. I think you look at running back and QB to shore up your team if you're a contender. The hardest thing to get is wide receiver.
Yeah,
just people in Dynasty, they're like, these guys can play longer. They have a lot. We've seen guys in their early 30s at wide receiver have their best years of their career. Look at Devontae Adams, monster year this year. Like you can have guys like that have great years where people, we're at this thing where we've done this long enough. We've looked at the metrics, right, guys? People are like 27, 28 people are trying to sell running backs. 34, 35 people are trying to sell quarterbacks. Doesn't mean they can't give you a couple more good seasons. If you're not a contender, those guys are just wasting away on your roster. So look at those guys in your league that have aging players that are good players, but they're not going to help them at all. Like that team is like, hey, I'm not going to make the playoffs. Why am I holding Matthew Stafford? I'm not making the playoffs. Why am I holding Derrick Henry? Now, like I just said it earlier, like Derrick Henry, if you got him and you won, you're probably just holding him. There's no reason to try to move him or do that. But if you have a team that is in the bottom 5 in your league, bottom 6 in your league, and they have Derrick Henry, and you won the league, I would trade a late second. I would trade my 212 for Derrick Henry. I would give myself another shot. Like, hey, even if he doesn't have a monster year, if he plays solidly, and you got to assume your team's pretty good because you just won the league, right? I would take that guy. And I'm telling you, I usually love late second. And this is like everything against what I usually do in dynasty drafts. I usually love second round, like late second round picks, early thirds. I feel like I clean up because I feel like I know more about those rookies in my draft than almost anybody else in my league. So I feel like I can clean house at that level. I'm looking at picks. I've already done probably 12 mock drafts with other experts this year. Man, you start getting that late second, early third, it's literally dart throws. I mean, it's complete dart throws. You're just begging one of these quarterbacks, becoming a backup and then hit like in a year or two where somebody gets hurt and they play, or you're hoping that one of these running backs get a good landing spot where they end up being the backup, like not a starter, being the backup and having a shot to possibly play. So I'm telling you right now, if I had an early third, I would be trading that for Ray Davis right now. And Ray Davis did nothing this year for the Bills. And I still like Ray Davis. Obviously, Cook is the man there. But if he goes down, Ray Davis is going to be good. Especially in return yard leagues. I had him in a league that I won the league, and Ray Davis was a huge part of it. So I think you got to look at your scoring, look at some of those things. I'm usually loving draft picks. I'm telling you guys, like this is crazy for to talk about.
We got the draft of the year. We got it. We got the draft pick love, JT.
I love it, but it's just I if you're a contender, man, I would make every move to get older guys that can help you win another year, right? Or back to back. You can go back to back, get another older guy, get someone that can do it for you.
Yeah, I'm with you on trying on acquiring from being a contender, running backs or quarterbacks in the super flex or 2 QB. But for me, for draft capital, again, it's looking at this rookie class. And for 2026, I'm using these rookie picks to bulk up on my wide receiver position, regardless if I'm stacked at that position or not. You can never have too many good players because they either can fill in for you when there's an injury or they make good trade bait. Either way, you want to have longevity. It's one of those things. It's very easy to fall into the trap of like, I have a need, therefore I'm going to pass up on talent and just get the position I want with my rookie picks, which is like in my opinion, the worst advice you can give, because you're sacrificing top tier production at a position for a roster spot just to fill a hole there, which you could probably acquire now in terms of getting like an older veteran or like an RB2 or RB3 just to fill in that spot. So I would definitely this year go in for rookie draft capital in 2026 and stockpile wide receivers if possible.
Yeah, running backs are easily my favorite position to trade for in Dynasty because you guys have echoed as well. I think it's the most easiest position to trade for in Dynasty because they're always moving around. They're very touch dependent. They're very landing spot dependent in most people's eyes. So I really like to trade for running backs.
Nice. All right. Well, before we get to our next segment, Aiden, you and I, we did the last
we did
game show last week where we were on the Fast Draft app, Fast Draft Fantasy. And of course, if you use the promo code FRAMES, you get matched up to $50 in your initial deposit. And they already, they've had this game last year called the Fast Draft Origins game. And it's been back online for the past month or so over at fastdraft.app. And so you literally go to your app store, download the Fast Draft app. It's so easy to use. These games are fantastic. You and I, we set 6 rosters last week heading into the Super Bowl. And so what's cool about the Origins game is that you draft, it's 8 teams, okay, full PPR, 20-second draft clock timer, and it is strictly rookies. Or in this case right now, prospects that could potentially be rookies, which makes it a little bit more like, I don't know if they're actually going to be drafted. I don't know where they're going to be drafted. There's so many variables, but if you like to live on the edge, now's the time. And I know a lot of you people out there in Dynasty Land, you are waiting
ready to go
to do this. So you draft 6 rookies at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. Again, and that's all it is. You play against 7 other teams, 20-second timer, lots of fun. Fast Draft app. Again, use the promo code FRAMES and you sign up and get matched up to $50.
For that shout out. Guys, we're going to be implementing a weekly segment here throughout the entire offseason for the handful of months to come, where we're going to responsibly assess the market and give you all one buy and one sell currently as we sit here tonight for that specific week. So, JT, I want to start with you. Regardless of position, who is one guy you are buying in Dynasty as we sit here tonight?
So a guy I touted pretty heavy in IDP last year, but I still think he has value in Dynasty, and I think so many people are down on him that makes me on him. Travis Hunter for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm gonna if people took him and they're out because they saw Parker Washington have a big year when he was out. Brian Thomas was down a little bit. I just think Travis Hunter is going to get it together. I like him. To me, he's a buy because I still like his talent. And then the injury on top of everything that happened, I think people think he's going to play more defense and offense this next year. I don't know how much I'm going to spend. I got to think about it. But I definitely, he's the guy I'm going to look at and test the market.
For sure. I think some people are worried about the wide receiver corner thing, but if you just trust the talent, to your point, you can go get Travis Hunter. Jorge, over to you. Who is a player that you are buying currently?
So it's funny because I know we're going to get the buy and sell, and both of these guys are right next to each other in ADP currently as far as January for DLF. I'm going Jalen Coker. Currently, according to the DLF ADP for January, wide receiver 50. Fantasy Pros ECR Dynasty rankings have him as the wide receiver 57. Finished last year in PPR leagues as the wide receiver 59, averaging 8.2 points per game. We saw him really turn it on in the playoffs and then again down the stretch last season after he missed a good chunk of the season coming back from injury. He played phenomenally. We saw the target volume go his way. He's playing opposite Teteroa McMillan, which is great because, hey, that draws coverage McMillan's way, and then there you go, Coker has ample opportunity. And the most important part about this situation here in Carolina is that, their head coach basically said, in fact, he emphatically said, Jalen Coker is our wide receiver 2. So he is slotted into that role. He is going to maintain that role going forward. Sorry, Xavier Legette truthers, like, that's just not how it's going to roll anymore. So yeah, definitely going to go get Jalen Coker now. And again, wide receiver 50 per DLF right now. And in Dynasty, Fantasy Pros ECR, wide receiver 57. Definitely somebody you should be going out and trying to acquire for your Dynasty leagues.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing from you right now is that you're a cokehead.
Phrasing. It's before 9 p.m. there, Aiden. Jesus. Okay, we got to keep it PG.
Okay,
we got crazy on the early show. We've got crazy on the early show. Here we go.
Shoot the gap is when JT and I take it off the rails for hours on end.
Okay,
I thought I was already out of control on this show. Jeez.
Got it.
What is going on here? My buy for Dynasty right now, this is probably going to shock you all watching because you're going to say, well, Aiden, it's a third and fourth option on a Jaguars team that runs the ball a lot as well. I'm going to go Brian Thomas Jr. I want to be buying into the talent of BTJ. I don't think we're ever going to see alpha number one numbers that we saw his rookie year, but I also don't think going forward we're ever going to see as bad as it was with 700 something receiving yards. I forgot specifically this past year. I think Liam Cohen, for as much as I love him, misused him. He tried to use him as a gadgety slot runner for the catch type guy. And if you saw BTJ's rookie year and his LSU tape in college, that's not what he is at all. He's an explosive, big-bodied, downfield threat, big red zone target. And I think, just to throw in here, people might not realize it right now, but I think there's more of a 50-50 shot, 50-50 chance, if you will, that BTJ, Brian Thomas Jr., is traded by the Jacksonville Jaguars to some other wide receiver needy team like the New York Jets or the Buffalo Bills or the New England Patriots, where he would be back to a 1A, 1B type situation. So I'm more buying into the talent here and hoping he gets traded rather than the current Jaguars situation.
That's interesting because that kind of ties into my sell.
Go ahead. You can go ahead.
Because I kind of differ in thought process here with that. My sell, who I said was right there next to Jalen Coker, is actually the wide receiver 49. Coker, ADP wise, is for January over at DLF. Coker 50. I'm talking about Parker Washington. He's the wide receiver 49 in wide receiver ADP. Finished as the wide receiver 35 in PPR leagues, averaging 11.5 points per game. Fantasy Pros ECR for Dynasty, wide receiver 56 currently. Brian Thomas had a great rookie year. He had a down year, and then trade him. Like, I don't see that happening. Like that to me seems a little bit too soon to pull the trigger on just a trade for Brian Thomas Jr. The odd person out here, though, is Parker Washington, unfortunately, because you have to think about this. Brian Thomas Jr., you invested the draft capital. He's not going anywhere, in my opinion. Jacoby Myers, they traded for there to give him a contract, right? You invested your second-round overall pick last year in Travis Hunter, and we saw that he was not utilized that much on the defense, as a lot of people were hoping he was going to be that wide receiver-cornerback combo. And we saw him play a little bit better down the stretch at wide receiver until he got hurt. So then Parker Washington, it's like, well, in my opinion, from an NFL standpoint, he is the perfect person to move. For Dynasty, he is also the perfect to move because people have recency bias. Recency bias is still here. And again, this is that time of year before we get to the combine, before we get to the NFL draft, that you can get these veterans, especially, and I know it's like wide receivers, right? We talked about earlier, wide receivers are kind of like the hardest ones to acquire. But I think in this case, Parker Washington, because I believe he is the fourth option, not because of production, but just because of the draft capital they've invested in the contract they gave Jacoby Myers, going back to draft capital with Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter. So yeah, give me Parker Washington as a sell.
Yeah, my sell is JT. I'm sorry because I know you love this guy, but I got to go Alec Pierce of the Indianapolis Colts. He's an upcoming free agent. I feel like he's going to get wildly overpaid by some team, basically going off just 1 year of over 1,000 receiving yards, like one true alpha season. And once he gets that alpha contract, he gets those alpha targets in a new situation. I just don't know if he's going to be handle that role per se, if that makes sense. I don't think we're ever going to see a better fantasy season than what we just saw from Alec Pierce. So if you can get a high 2027 pick or some like somewhat high in a weaker class this year pick, I'd probably trade Alec Pierce for that. And maybe you get a veteran to shore up your roster as well. I just had to do it. So JT, you can give me your thoughts on Alec Pierce because I know that one surprised you, and then you can go into your sell too.
Yeah, here's my thing with Alec Pierce. This is going to be huge for him in the offseason where he lands. Because I like Alec Pierce a lot. Anybody who's watched the show knows I've talked up Alec Pierce since he was a rookie. I thought like year 3 he would blossom. He did this year, even with the QB play and everything that happened. The problem with Alec Pierce is, man, if you could sell him for some high right now, I agree with you. Sell him now because if the Colts don't pay him, if the Colts don't pay him, man, I don't want to know where he ends up, to be honest with you, because he is so QB and he's so dependent on the offensive structure of what they're going to do with him. He's a good QB that throws a dagger deep ball and has a monster arm. If he ends up on a team that doesn't have that, you just wasted Alec Pierce, right? So I think you're right on this. I have Alec Pierce everywhere. I mean,
I was surprised. I thought you were gonna not like it, but
my thing is I'm probably holding him on most of my teams, hoping that the Colts re-sign him. If you're worried that the Colts don't re-sign him and you're worried about where he ends up, now, like you said, it might be time to hit while the iron's hot. Sell him before you know where he lands. It's a little bit of an iffy, but I think the chances of him ending up in a bad landing spot as opposed to a good landing spot are better. We know how this works, right? Most of the bad teams sign these guys that played out of their mind, and then they never perform that way again. I hope that's not the case for Alec Pierce, but it's possible. Now, I also laughed in Kyle jumped in. He said, as a Titans fan, you guys are making me sick with all these Jags picks. This has turned into a Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Not on purpose, but we've all picking Jacksonville Jaguar guys. Here's the thing. I will give my 2 seconds on this. Brian Thomas, I really like him. Man, if you would have sold him before last season, he was at like an all-time high. He was anywhere from Dynasty wide receiver 1 to Dynasty wide receiver 4 or 5. People are so high on him. I had him in so many spots. I couldn't trade him because I loved him so much. He then had the down year. I still think he's going to be good. I still like him, but you're right, Aiden. They did not use him right. He's a deep ball threat. That's who he is. He's the go guy. He's a better Alec Pierce. Let's be honest. He's a better Alec Pierce. You got to throw the deep ball to him. So if they can get help from Parker Washington or Travis Hunter or Jacoby Myers to run the underneath routes and help him get deep, I like him still. But it was a tough year as Brian Thomas owner. I tell you what, in a lot of leagues that I had him, I did not make the playoffs. I had one league I won the championship because I didn't play him the last couple of weeks. I played other people, but man, the leagues I had him, I just got buried where I had him and Marvin Harrison. I'm hoping for the future, but it got ugly there for a while. But I do like your idea. If you don't think Alec Pierce is going to have a good landing spot, bam, try to sell him now if you can. I agree with you on that. Even though I like him, I agree on that assessment.
Yeah. And then real quick, who's your sell at this moment?
I didn't even mean to do this, but I picked another Jaguar player.
It's just for Kyle.
Right yeah, this is for Kyle. Another Jaguar, Travis Etienne. So the question is, if Etienne goes back to the Jags,
I think he will.
I feel decent about it. Now, if you break down his numbers from last year, he had a couple big games. The catches and the yards, because the injuries at wide receiver, some of the stuff helped him out because he ended up finishing pretty high in fantasy, even though he barely eclipsed 1,000 yards rushing. If he goes somewhere else, the question is it a good landing spot or a bad landing spot? He's also 27. He was a little older coming out of college. So he's 27, going on 28 into this next contract, which is technically really only his second contract in the NFL. Are you willing to take a chance that somebody's going to spend big money on him and make him the focal point of their offense? I'm a little iffy on that. Now, I don't hate ETN as a player, but he's a guy if I have him on my team, I'm definitely considering moving him.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that was a lot of fun. That'll do it for our much anticipated return episode of Dynasty 365. We are officially back. As one final quick reminder, please once again head over to our site, fantasyandframes.com, where you can find our article content and breakdowns, most importantly this time of year, breakdowns for the rookie prospect class, whether that's from a redraft, dynasty, and or IDP perspective. And if you want to see some debates and how all these players stack up between the crew here, us at Fantasy and Frames, our first batch of rankings is live on the site from myself, JT, Jorge, Drew Scott, and finally Joe Harlow. So please check out all of our content over there. It would be much appreciated.
And not to mention,
go ahead.
Let's get to the biggest news is that normally we do one episode of Dynasty 365, one to shoot the gap every single week. Well, there's so much information out there for dynasty managers, and let's face it, there's an audience that enjoys strategy, likes talking about the combine, likes talking about the free agency impact for dynasty managers, the NFL draft fallout, so on and so forth. And then let's face it, we're not blind to this. A lot of y'all are in hardcore prospect mode.
Oh yeah.
So you know what, folks, we're doing? We are bringing you 2 episodes of Dynasty 365 each and every week. You can still catch this episode here Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. But starting tomorrow, Thursday, February 12th at 10 p.m., the second episode of the week for Dynasty 365 is going to kick off. And in these episodes, we are going to be discussing our rookie rankings, having debates amongst rookies, and then doing some rookie mock drafts each and every week. And we're going to take that through the NFL draft. We're looking forward to that. So that is tomorrow night, Dynasty 365 Part 2, 10 p.m. Eastern with Aiden, with Drew Scott, with Justin Taylor. And then you never know who else is going to drop in, folks. So we're going to go heavy rookie content in our second
party
Dynasty 365. It is going to be a lot of fun, all rookies all the time. And again, starting tomorrow, February 12th at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Jorge, we've got our one going tomorrow, but if you're interested in trying to join a live draft or a pre-draft, I just threw it in the comment section there. You can hit me up at jtorange4@gmail.com. If you want to get into some of our rookie mock drafts, we're going to do the one Thursday tomorrow with just the guys on Fantasy and Frames, but we've got some more coming up. If you want to try to jump in and either do a live or a pre-mock draft before the show where we break it down on the show, hit me up at that email at jtorange4@gmail.com, and I will add you to our sleeper mock draft. We're going to try to be getting some of these out there for you guys, get everybody getting some looks. Mock drafts are damn near the funnest part of the offseason. So if you want to get in, hit me up. I will get you added.
Yeah, great point. Thanks for the promo. Thank you for supporting and watching us for our big return episode tonight, everyone. Please come hang out with us again next Wednesday night, as always, at 8 p.m. Eastern, as we go over the flip side of this, rebuilding for success in Dynasty Fantasy Football. That will be a ton of fun, as usual. So for myself, for JT, and Jorge, we will see you then.